Aloha, namaste. Please accept my respects. My name is Janapati Das, and we are going to get into another Krishna story and continue with our adventure of the Krishna stories. So please accept my respects. Let me offer my respect to Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, as well as to my spiritual master, Jagad Guru Siddhaswarupananda, Paramahamsa Srila Prabhupada, of whose mercy I have no ability to speak except through their mercy and their knowledge that they have shared with me, and now I'm sharing with you. So of course we're going to start with some hearing and chanting of Krishna's names, some kirtan, so feel free to join in. Janapati Siddhaswarupananda Paramahamsa Iti Namine Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Padaya Bhutale Janapati Siddhaswarupananda Paramahamsa Iti Namine Bhaja Shri Krishna Chaitanya Sorry, mosquito. Nitai Gaur Hari Bol. Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur. Nitai Gaur Hari Bol. Hari Krishna. Hare Rama, whoops, I just hit my wire. Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Okay. Boom. I like to be real, this is like reality TV, I like to be real and not edited. So if I have a few technical difficulties here, I'll just go with it, and that's how it is. So, let's get into the story. I was just about to... From our last time with the Krishna story, we had wonderful things that happened. Scary things, forest fires, and huge demons coming to try to kill Pralambasura, and the forest fires with the cows, and the coward boys got trapped. And but as we know, Balaram took care of the Pralambasura demon by just... He was so heavy, Bala means strength, and when we take shelter of Balaram is the most powerful. His expansion is the Seshananga, expansion of Krishna, and he is supporting everything. He's supporting all the universes on the hoods of his head, because his expansion is of many, many snakes, not like the Aghasura demon, but a real transcendental. And he is actually described in the Srimad Bhagavatam about Seshananga. Very wonderful, actually, descriptions of the hoods of his head and how his descriptions of what he looks like and as Seshananga. But he is the most heavy. He's so heavy because he's the Supreme Lord. He's the Supreme Lord and the servant, Supreme Personality of Godhead. He takes complete shelter in Krishna. He actually serves and takes care of Krishna, and his only purpose as Balaram is to love and give service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. So he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but he is also differentiated. So yeah, he was on this demon who had assumed a form of a coward boy because he thought he was very smart. He would just infiltrate the coward boys and, then take them off and kill them, But actually, they had a wrestling match, which boys like to do. And they split into two teams, Balaram's team and Krishna's team. And they would get on each other's shoulders, and then they would try to knock each other down. And the winning team would have to actually carry them on their shoulders. And so what happened was Krishna's team lost. So Krishna had to carry somebody in, but also, get that mosquito. Ooh, yeah, mosquito season. And so, what was I saying? Yeah, so Balaram was being carried by Pralambasura in this form because he was on Krishna's team, and he had to carry Balaram. And he's a very powerful demon. I mean, these demons are extremely, extremely powerful, but under the weight of Balaram, he started to feel this, like carrying the whole earth. It's even worse than Atlas trying to carry the earth. It's like carry the Supreme Personality of Godhead on your shoulders. So he was going off, and then he couldn't handle Balaram anymore, so he assumed his form because he had shape-shifted into a coward boy. But he started becoming a demon again, and he started growing, and Balaram is like, oh, this is interesting. And boy, I wonder where these mosquitoes are coming from. So yeah, and then Balaram's like, oh, okay, I got to deal with this demon here, and just like popped him in the head, and the demon just went, whoa, to be hit by Balaram. That's some serious business. And there's some other stories here where Balaram actually kills demons with his fists or his mace, and he carries a city with his plow. He's so strong. And so these are all in Krishna book here, and we'll get to them. But anyway, so we had that story, and all the coward boys were all, woo, yeah, Krishna. Everybody was excited. It's always very fun to watch Krishna and Balaram. So they're like, for you, he's a good, jolly good fellow, and whatever they would do there, yay, well done, well done. And then we had the forest fire where everyone took shelter of Krishna, and Krishna was telling his devotees through his eyes, don't worry, don't worry about it. It's like my spiritual master always says, what is your greatest fear? What is your greatest fear in life? People have different fears and worries, and then do you think that Balaram, or do you think that Krishna is not capable of handling it? Really, it's all very minuscule. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, who maintains all universes and all the spiritual world and everything, you don't think he can handle your problems if you take shelter in him? So, similarly, Krishna, just like with this forest fire, like the forest fire of material life, the burning fire of material existence is just sucked up. That's why Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had also said, it extinguishes the fire of conditional life, the hearing and chanting of Krishna's names. And the hearing and chanting of the names of Krishna are non-different than Krishna. They are Krishna. When you are chanting Krishna's names, Krishna is present. Krishna is there in your heart. Krishna is everywhere. You're never alone. You're never alone. And it's like anything that is the burning existence of material life, whatever is going on in your life. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. And he just absorbs it. He just sucks it up. So, that brings us to the descriptions of autumn. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. The killing of Pralambasura and the devouring of the devastating forest fire by Krishna and Balaram became household topics in Vrindavan. The coward men described these wonderful activities to their wives and to everyone else, and all were struck with wonder. They concluded that Krishna and Balaram were demigods and had kindly come to Vrindavan to become their children. In this way, the rainy season ensued. In India, after the scorching heat of the summer, the rainy season is very welcome. And this is actually, if you've ever been in a heavily tropical third world country like India, I haven't, but, if you've been to, like I've been to West Africa as a Peace Corps volunteer, and this is very true. They have a dry season and they have a rainy season, and the dry season gets pretty miserable. And it's just like, and then when the rains come, it's very cool. It just feels so nice. Of course, the next day, the humidity kicks in, but so maybe it's not the best analogy. But when it is raining, it's just really, very pleasant. And everybody's happy because they can start planting. Before it was super dry, there was no grass to feed the animals, and then everything starts to grow again because of the rain. The clouds accumulating in the sky, covering the sun and the moon, become very pleasing to the people, and they expect rainfall at every moment. After summer, the advent of the rainy season is considered to be the life-giving source for everyone. The thunder and occasional lightning are also pleasurable to the people. So, there's so many things in nature that when we live in harmony with nature, that Krishna provides you in the material world with air and sunshine and rain and everything that provides food to grow and that you can live and sustain yourself. The symptoms of the rainy season may be compared to the symptoms of the living entities who are covered by the three modes of material nature. The unlimited sky is like the supreme Brahman, and the tiny living entities are like the covered sky, or Brahman covered by the three modes of material nature. Originally, everyone is part and parcel of Brahman. The Supreme Brahman, or the unlimited sky, can never be covered by a cloud, but portion of it can be covered. So this is actually, knowing the difference between a Mayavadi, or what we've referred to in the past as in impersonalist thought. They believe that the Brahman can be influenced by or be illusioned by material energy, and it's not true. In other words, that it becomes the material energy. Originally, everyone is part and parcel of Brahman. The Supreme Brahman, or unlimited sky, can never be covered by a cloud, but a portion of it can be covered. As stated in the Bhagavad Gita, the living entities are part and parcel of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but they are only an insignificant portion of the Supreme Lord. The portion covered by the modes of material nature, and therefore the living entities, are residing within this material world. So what it has been saying is that the living entities, the Jivatmas, are so infinitesimal. They are spiritual in essence, but because they are so small, they're part of the Tatashta Shakti. In other words, they're marginal. They're marginal, in other words, they're in between the material and spiritual. They can be influenced by spiritual and they can be influenced by material. Whereas a Mayavadi thought is that Brahman or Brahman or Krishna, or the spiritual energy, can actually become influenced. It's not that the energy itself is becoming influenced at all, but it is that the living entity, the Jivatmas, that mistaken, they're on this portion. In other words, they are this dividing point between water and land. And sometimes if they want to enjoy and control, they turn towards Maya, or they turn towards material energy, and that's what they see is their happiness. If they come to understand that they are not material but spiritual, they can turn back to the spiritual energy, or to Krishna, and be influenced. Thus, the Supreme Brahman. Okay, as stated in the Bhagavad Gita, the living entities are part and parcel of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but they are only an insignificant portion of the Supreme Lord. This portion is covered by the modes of material nature, and therefore the living entities are residing within this material world. The Brahmajyoti, spiritual effulgence, is just like the sunshine. As the sunshine is full of molecular shining particles, so the Brahmajyoti is full of minute portions of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So the sunshine is never converted or captured by the clouds of Maya. In other words, the Maya is just a covering. So just like clouds sometimes go in front of the moon, or sometimes go in front of the sun, and you don't see the sun, or you don't see the moon. Similarly, under the influence of material energy, what you're perceiving is the clouds. You don't actually see the sun, or you don't see Krishna. Out of that unlimited expansion of minute portions of the Supreme Personality, of the Supreme Lord, some are covered by the influence of material nature, while others are freed. That's referred to as Nitya Siddha and Nitya Bandhu. Nitya Siddha is eternally liberated, and Nitya Bandhu is eternally in bondage. So living entities in the material world are Nitya Bandhu. They're eternally bound. And those are in the spiritual world are eternally liberated. Clouds are accumulated water drawn from the land by the sunshine. Continually for 8 months the sun evaporates all kinds of water from the surface of the globe, and this water is accumulated in the shape of clouds, which are distributed as water when there is need. Similarly, a government exacts various taxes from the citizens when the citizens are able to pay by their different material activities. agriculture, trade, and industry. Thus, the government can also exact taxes in the form of income tax and sales tax. This is compared to the need of water on the surface of the globe. The same sunshine converts the water into clouds and distributes it all over the globe. Similarly, the taxes collected by the government must be distributed to the people again as educational work, public work, sanitary work, etc. This is very essential for a good government. The government should not simply exact tax for useless squandering. Sounds familiar. The tax collection should be utilized for the public welfare of the state. So there is that, but oftentimes what happens is, like, similarly, our modern governments will exact taxes to basically, for various reasons or another, engage in things that are for people's personal profit, like war, like I'm drawing a blank. It's like government building wars. In other words, wars we invade countries and try to rebuild them, just for the sense of trying to extract something, some sort of a resource from those countries, or being able to give money to people, military contractors who are making money off of building weaponry so that they can continuously fight a war that they know will not be won but will be continuously fought. This is sort of what happened in Afghanistan recently. And then we withdrew from Afghanistan and everything fell apart because it wasn't really ever a war that we were going to win. During the rainy season, there are strong winds blustering all over the country and carrying clouds from one place to another to distribute water. When water is urgently needed after the summer season, the clouds are just like a rich man who in times of need distributes his money, even by exhausting his whole treasury. So the clouds exhaust themselves by distributing water all over the surface of the globe. When Maharaj Dasharatha, the father of Lord Ramachandra, used to fight with his enemies, it said that he approached them just like a farmer, uprooting unnecessary plants and trees. And when there was a need of giving charity, he used to distribute money exactly as a cloud distributes rain. The distribution of rain by cloud is so sumptuous that it is compared to the distribution of wealth by a great munificent person. The cloud's downpour is so sufficient that the rains even fall on rocks and hills, and on the oceans and seas where there is no need for water. It is like a charitable person who opens his treasury for distribution and who does not discriminate whether the charity is needed or not. He gives in charity open-handed. So this was actually a system in the Vedic system that was, and there are other religions that it's a treatise for that. In other words, like Islam, I think probably Jewish religion, the idea of giving charity, Christian religion, to people who are in need or just not in need. Just the idea that basically the money that you have, and the best form of charity, of course, is to give to those who are spreading spiritual knowledge and trying to help their spiritual master in some way, bring people to Krishna, or bring Krishna to people, whatever might be the situation. And it also was a way of not becoming overly attached to the money that you had. It's not really, I mean, people don't really give to charity, and the ideas of charity nowadays is that, you know, you give money and then the IRS gives you a big write-off. So it's not really like it's not really even a charitable thing. It's just something you do and you get a big amount of money back for doing that. So actually, charity was a way to not become connected or not become overly attached to the kind of money you had, but to be able to give it away for the benefit of society. Mosquito. He was trying to go in there on my arm. So this is a very important point, that back in the Vedic times, and you read in the Krishna stories where even these people who had a lot of money, like Nanda Maharaj had a lot of cows and wealth, and he would just give to the brahmanas, and who were the priestly class. And the priestly class back in those days are not like the Catholic Church or whatever it might be nowadays, that these sort of evangelical Christians or people who live with a lot of money, even so-called gurus, who have basically accumulated a lot of wealth just to have money. They would give to the brahmanas, and the brahmanas would be poor. They would go and they would get their livelihood by begging from the kings, and the kings would give charity to them, and then the brahmanas could be sustained and be able to spread spiritual knowledge. So much has changed since then. Before the rainfall, the whole surface of the globe becomes almost depleted of all kinds of energies and appears very lean. After the rainfall, the whole surface of the earth becomes green with vegetation and appears to be very healthy and strong. This was like in Africa when I was there. Everything was like completely dry. If there was any grass around, it was completely dry and brittle, but the animals had eaten all the grass on there. And then the rain came in and all the seeds just fructified. And so there was this lush green grass and trees everywhere. And then you would hear crickets just like really loud. Before it was really quiet. There were very few crickets. But then when the rain came in, everything was healthy and strong, just like I said. Here a comparison is made with the person undergoing austerities for fulfillment of material desire. The flourishing condition of the earth after the rainy season is compared with the fulfillment of material desires. Sometimes when a country is subjugated by an undesirable government, persons and parties undergo severe penances and austerities to get control of the government. And when they attain control, they flourish by giving themselves generous salaries. So this is another analogy. But yeah, so oftentimes this is like they said, Bhaktivedanta explains, it's like when you fulfill your material desires, it's just like trying to have this very lush life and surround yourself with so many things. This is also like the flourishing of the earth in the rainy season. Actually, one should undergo severe austerities and penances only to achieve spiritual happiness. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, it is recommended that tapasya, or penance, should be accepted for realizing the Supreme Lord. And in the Bhagavad Gita, in its 3rd chapter, there's a lot of description about yajna. Yajna is a name that means sacrifice, but it is also the supreme personality of Godhead, another name. And it's said that all sacrifices are ultimately to attain Lord Vishnu or Krishna. So even the most subtle, materialistic sacrifices of the Vedas were ultimately to elevate a person's consciousness, to give them the ability, if they wanted to have some sense enjoyment, to have it, but at the same time to be able to have some regulation to control their senses, but also give them some spiritual elevation to be able to do so. And so it's better to engage in tapasya, or austerities and sacrifices. And in the practice of sadhana bhakti, we have so many austerities. We get up in the morning, we take a shower, we clean ourselves, we brush our teeth. We, not so that our body is healthy and clean, so that we can engage in sacrifices, which is our japa or our kirtan or Guranga breathing, whatever we're doing, or we offer to our deities, and offer food to Krishna in the morning. And everything that we do as a sacrifice. We don't, even the things that seem like a material activity, like going to work, is a sacrifice, because we go to work, we make money. We don't use all the money for like, oh, this is all for my enjoyment and my happiness. Let me go get a beer afterwards and eat a hamburger. No, you just like make the money. Okay, I'll take it home. I'll go to the store. I'll buy vegetarian, no eggs, vegetarian food, and I'll offer it to Krishna. And then I get in that sacrifice of prasadam, I get it back in its spiritual food. Or if we do the sacrifice of kirtan, instead of like, I don't know, whatever, going playing rock and roll, 8 days a week or whatever it might be, or Nirvana or whatever you listen to, you take that capability and you chant the mantras instead. So it is considered a sacrifice. So these are the things that Bhaktivedanta is saying here, that it should be better to, if you're going to make money, don't make money to just try to satisfy all your desires and your senses, but use it, engage your senses in the sacrifice of trying to reconnect yourself with a loving relationship with Krishna. And there are many ways you can do that. By accepting austerity and devotional service, one regains his spiritual life, and as soon as one regains his spiritual life, he enjoys unlimited spiritual bliss, which is completely opposite of what we're trying to enjoy, but we're enjoying a lot of misery. It's very true. I see this in so much of what people put on social media, or they're just trying to find happiness, but they don't see it. But if someone undertakes austerity and penances for some material gain, it is stated in the Bhagavad Gita that the results are temporary and they are desired by persons of less intelligence. So many austerities and penances, there are people who do that. They do it, I remember being in the Philippines, and every season of Lent, there were people who would like whip themselves and pierce themselves with a cross and, carry a cross, because they saw Jesus Christ doing it. Therefore, they felt like they would be more spiritually benefited if they themselves felt pain. But that's not the kind of austerity that you don't go out of your way to seek pain for spiritual benefit. But if you have some austerities, or you have some problems or some hardships in the austerities that you engage in, you offer them to Krishna, but you don't go out of your way to try to get them. That's kind of like sadomasochist. So in these kind of things, sometimes people fast because they just want to have a nice butt or something, and so they maybe get it, but eventually their butt will get saggy or it'll get fat again, So those results are just temporary. They're just temporary, and they don't really, they may give you something initially, a little like boost of something, but when you engage in spiritual austerity for Krishna, that's an everlasting and ongoing benefit to you and your spiritual life. And this is a really awesome chapter, and it's packed full of just wonderful philosophy and deep wisdom. But I'm going to go ahead and stop here, and we're going to chant some more, and we'll get back into it next time. Thank you very much, and please feel free to comment, like, and subscribe to my channel, and share. Please share. We're mending hearts one at a time, and you should never be fearful of giving Krishna to people, because there are people who will react with pessimism, or even worse, like insulting you. But you should never get upset with them, but be completely humble. Sometimes you have to leave those people be, and they're not receptive. Sometimes you never know where your receptivity is going to come. I just even today, I was on a Facebook page, and somebody who was contemplating what the meaning of his life was, and he was almost 80, and he thought, I could die soon, and he didn't really see the meaning in his life. And so I shared something from a Facebook page of my god brother Acharya Das, and with him, and I didn't expect him to respond, but he responded. He said, thank you, with a heart, the heart. Thank you so much. This is so beautiful. And I just thought, wow, it's Krishna is so merciful. You never know what's in people's heart, or how people will respond. So the takeaway for me was to just always be kind and compassionate to everyone. And you just don't know what kind of effect you're going to have on people, even if they superficially appear angry, or it may go in. You never know. Or those people that just like, boom, it just has a sudden effect on them, and it's like Krishna does the rest. He gets in your heart, and he makes it louder and louder for you to be able to see, and he shows you the signs of what you need to know. And so never be fearful to share. Don't be afraid. That's just the false ego thing anyway, because you think, oh, what if people don't like me? It's like, oh well, you always be kind and compassionate to people and caring about people. You should care about people. They're not just about yourself, because we're all stuck in this material world, and some people, they will never, maybe they'll hear. It's like that saying in the Bhagavad Gita, when sometime, I can't paraphrase it, of course, but when you speak of the soul to people, about the soul, some people are, oh geez, I'm gonna have to look it up for next time. You know the one I'm talking about, but I don't want to brutally destroy it by trying to say it. But it's basically just the idea that some people just never get it in this life, but maybe in next life, you never know. So let's chant.
Hari
you very much for tuning in. We'll see you next time.